The wind cuts through the Himalayas, burying the mountain passes in deep snow. A lone traveler pushes through the freezing blizzard. If he is caught, he will be executed immediately. Not for what he is carrying, but for the information hidden inside his head. He holds no compass. He carries no official documents. Yet with every single stride he takes, he is covertly measuring a vast unknown territory, using nothing but his own body. By the mid-19th century, a silent Cold War raged over the control of Central Asia. The British Empire desperately needed exact geographic intelligence on the territories stretching far beyond India. To map this heavily guarded terrain, the most dangerous espionage mission of the century would rely entirely on the physical endurance and mental calculation of a man appearing to carry absolutely nothing. The northern border was a total barrier. Territories like Tibet and the sacred city of Lhasa were strictly forbidden to outsiders. Any European explorer who attempted to cross into this region faced immediate imprisonment or execution. Since they could not send their own surveyors, the British Secret Service devised a workaround. They recruited a highly selective group of elite Indian agents who could seamlessly disguise themselves as devout, peaceful pilgrims. Accepting the mission meant total civilian anonymity. Upon recruitment, the true identities of these spies were permanently erased from all official state documents. The leader of these operatives was a man named Nain Singh Rawat, but to the Secret Service, he was known solely by his classified codename, Number 1. To penetrate the most fiercely guarded borders on Earth, the Empire had to invent a completely invisible operative. Rawat's survival depended entirely on his cover story. By adopting the robes and daily routines of a religious pilgrim, he could move freely through restricted zones without arousing suspicion from border guards. But walking was his primary instrument of measurement. Rawat spent months conditioning his body to take a perfectly uniform stride. Whether he was walking across flat plains or trudging up steep snowbanks, his pace was exactly 33 inches long. To track these steps, he relied on a covertly modified religious artifact. While traditional Buddhist prayer strings hold 108 beads, Rawat's custom string contained exactly 100. Every time he took exactly 100 steps, he would silently slip a single bead down the string. This quiet, repetitive motion allowed him to calculate the exact mileage he had covered without writing a single number down. Through sheer physical discipline, Rawat weaponized his own movement, turning his body into a flawless, invisible tape measure. The terrain required precise cartographic data, but carrying heavy brass surveying equipment across the border would instantly blow his cover and lead to a swift execution. The solution was to hide the science in plain sight. Rawat carried a traditional traveler's walking stick, but the wood had been secretly hollowed out to conceal a brass thermometer. He also carried a standard wooden tea-bowl. Hidden beneath a false bottom was a pool of liquid mercury. Because he couldn't carry suspicious glass jars or leveling tools, pouring out the heavy liquid mercury provided him with a perfectly flat, reflective surface. This allowed him to find the true horizon and measure geographic angles anywhere he camped. By re-engineering everyday traveler's gear into a covert geometry toolkit, the spies gathered hard scientific data while maintaining their peaceful disguise. Pulling out a pen and paper during the day meant certain death. As a result, Rawat had to memorize thousands of individual footsteps, complex geographical routes, and intricate land features entirely in his head while interacting with locals. The real data processing began late at night. Completely isolated in the pitch black of his tent, he would finally light a small fire and boil water to make his tea. This chart plots the relationship between altitude and the boiling point of water. By placing his hidden thermometer into the pot, Rawat leveraged this physics. Because water boils at lower temperatures at higher elevations, measuring his tea's heat calculated the exact altitude. To track the stars and calculate longitude, he lacked a chronometer, so he used his heartbeat as a makeshift timer, matching the celestial drift to his pulse. Once calculations were complete, he recorded measurements onto narrow strips of paper, rolling them tightly and hiding them deep inside his metal Buddhist prayer wheel. His survival rested entirely on this exhausting dual existence: a devout, enduring pilgrim by day and a brilliant chronometric scientist by night. The physical toll of this methodology was immense. Number 1 walked over 1,200 miles across the roof of the world. literally counting every single step. Through sheer willpower, he eventually breached his ultimate target, crossing safely into the heavily fortified and strictly forbidden capital city of Lhasa. Right under the noses of the city guards, protected solely by the repetitive act of spinning his prayer wheel, he recorded Lhasa's exact altitude and mapped out regional roads and rivers that the outside world didn't even know existed. The most aggressively guarded city on Earth had been comprehensively breached and mathematically measured by a man hiding in plain sight. Decades later, Western explorers finally managed to reach Lhasa, bringing with them a suite of advanced modern scientific instruments. When they surveyed the area, they verified the old intelligence. Nain Singh Rawat's manual 19th century calculations, done with wooden T-bowls, modified beads, and his own heartbeat, were flawlessly accurate. For his extraordinary bravery, Rawat was privately honored. The Royal Geographical Society awarded him a gold medal and a village estate. But there was a harsh condition to his success. Because his espionage work was a highly classified state secret, he was forced to keep his true identity and his heroic achievements hidden from the public for the rest of his life. The meticulous maps survived, securing vast intelligence for the empire, but the data was gathered by the silent, erased footsteps of a ghost.